So this is what we've seen so far, right? So this is the data that's coming in, the raw data as a video tape recorder might record it. Comes in through our sensory organs. I've taken the eye as an example. This is a rough picture of a human head. And in order to make sense, this is the process of sense making that we talked about. And in order to make sense of the data that comes in, we also have to pull information out from the place where we store what we already know, and the term we use for that is mental models. So we need to pull out information from our mental models and then make sense of the data. That is the process of sense making. So I'm going to introduce a term here known as bounded awareness. What in simple language you would call this selective perception. What this term bounded awareness really means is that all of us, and it's just a function of us being human, can never be aware of all the information that's out there. So when I talk about this, this concept to sometimes to students who are fairly younger, they get quite enraged and offended and say, "What do you mean? What do you mean we're not aware of everything that's going on around us? Is this a problem? Is this a limitation? Is this a limitation that we aren't aware of everything?" Well, my answer is you can think of it as a limitation, or you can just think of it as a functional attribute of being human. And the reason I say functional is that there's a function to focus. For example, do you think when you enter a classroom, let's say, to listen to a lecture, it's equally important for you to pay attention to what is being told by the instructor as it is for you to be counting the number of fans and lights and chandeliers and the print on the curtain? Should you be giving equal attention to all of these things? Would that be functional? If you were a student, probably not. Suppose you were an interior decorator who's been hired by the institute to come in and have a look at the classroom. Then yes, then it makes sense to pay attention to the print on the curtain. Think back to any of your own experiences. Do we always give equal attention to all the sensory information that is there, that is present at any point in time? And the answer is no. And the next level of this question is, do you want to do that? And in my opinion, again, the answer is probably no. We probably don't want to be giving equal attention to everything. That's not functional. That would slow us down. It would not help us be effective. Therefore, I think bounded awareness is a blessing in disguise. But can this limit us? Can this bias our perception of the world? Can it make us see things without being the complete picture that things are? Yes, it can. And that is the double-edged sword of bounded awareness. So you just saw the gorilla video, right? And if you missed the dancing gorilla in the middle of the screen, you're not alone. Yeah, a huge segment of the population typically misses it. Now, there are some people who see it, and very often those who see it are the ones who didn't get the number of passes right. They didn't get the right number, right? They didn't count 13. Now, why is this? Now, again, is this a good thing, bad thing? There's no answer to that. You focused on the passes and therefore you didn't see the gorilla. But when we play the video back, all of us, and at least I was, and all the students that have, I've shown this video to, have been very surprised to notice that they missed something as obvious as the gorilla just walking through the court. That's bounded awareness. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. Bounded awareness, the idea seems to suggest that there's a lens. There's a lens in front of our eyes that determines what information we're letting in and what information is there, but it's just not coming into our perception. We are not using it in the process of our sense making, and therefore that information doesn't exist for us. So it's like a lens that filters out certain information and lets in certain information. In the case of the gorilla video, what drove that lens? what drives, I'm talking about it as one lens, but in reality there are several lenses, layers of lenses that we all hold over our senses of perception. But what drives this lens? In the gorilla video, it was the instructions. Yeah, the instructions that you have to count the number of passes. What are some of the other things that might drive this? The lens through which we let in certain information and leave out certain information. This lens of perception that allows certain information to come in and sort of makes me believe that the other information is not relevant to me, therefore it doesn't exist to me. What are the factors, if I may ask, do you think that determine the nature of these lenses? Yeah, my lens would be different from your lens, from the lens of anyone else. This lens is unique to me. So what determines my lens?